Welcome to the Migrant Resource Centre, Northwest Region Incorporated Diversity and Disability YouTube channel. Your Life, Your Voice program, where self-advocates and professionals in the disability sector are interviewed.
The Diversity and Disability Project would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we work and live and recognise their continued connection to land, water and community. We pay respects to elders past, present and emerging.
Nothing about us without us. We pay respects to all self-advocates who have worked hard over the years and still working tirelessly for their rights, supporting others with disabilities and human rights for all.
This channel is for people with disabilities who aspire to seek self-advocacy role models to inspire change in their everyday lives. Nothing about us without us. Choice and control are central themes. Every interview is as unique as you and I.
And it has a fundamental universal human rights ethos of respect for persons with disabilities, having their views heard and acknowledged. After all, it's all in the name. Your life, your voice.
Be the voice of change in your life.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Your Life, Your Voice. My name is Julius Caesar, and I'd like to welcome my co-host, Gore Thomas. How are you, Gore?
Hi, how are you going?
Well, I'm well. I hope that everyone on YouTube land is well. And today we have a topic for you. So the topic will be around emotions, how we feel and how we empower ourselves. And we're going to have information on how others who have reached their full potential, this includes some very well-known people. So how about we kick it off, Gore?
Yes. So, famous people with disabilities is where we're starting off from. Okay. Does having a disability mean you can't be successful? Your disability only limits you if you let it. Let's meet some successful people. You ready for this, Julie?
I am Dr.
Is it-
Stephen Hawking.
Yes.
Dr. Hawking is considered one of the world's foremost experts on black holes and is Professor of Mathematics at Cambridge University. He is the author of several books on the nature of the universe.
Yeah. We've also got Stevie Wonder, is a famous singer, recording producer, songwriter, and musician. Wonder lost all vision shortly after he was born, but it did not stop him from pursuing his dream. By the age of 12, Stevie Wonder had already signed his first recording deal with Motown Records.
Thomas Edison, a famous inventor and scientist who patented over 1,000 inventions. As a child, Edison struggled with math and had difficulty with speech. At age 12, he was thrown out of school for being dumb. Do you want to go back, please?
Yeah, I'll go back. Sorry. Yeah. Come on. So we've also got Maslin. Maslin is a well-known actress. She won an Academy Award at age 21 for her performance in the movie Children of a Lesser God. Maslin has been deaf since she was 18 months old.
Allen has played the drums since he was a child and became a drummer for Def Leppard at age 15. As an adult, Rick lost his left arm in a car accident but continued to play. Rick once said, "If you couldn't play drums, it would have destroyed me. If you're thrown in the deep end, you swim." And that's basically what I did. I had to do it. And with the rest of the band behind me and the encouragement I got from people from all over the world, I knew that I was going to play. Over the years, Rick became known as the Thunder God because of his tremendous drumming talent.
Whoopi Goldberg, an award-winning actress, comedian, singer, and talk show host. Whoopi struggled in school and as an adult learned she has dyslexia.
Lynnwood Van Beethoven. Beethoven is one of the most influential and well-known composers of all times. At age 26, Beethoven began to lose his hearing and eventually became deaf. Beethoven continued his work as a composer after his hearing loss and gave numerous musical performances up until the year before his death.
Jim Abbott is a Major League Baseball pitcher who has played for the California Angels, Milwaukee Brewers, Chicago White Sox, and New York Yankees. Abbott was born with only one hand.
Wilma Mankiller, chief of the Cherokee Nation and author of numerous books. During her mid-30s, Mankiller was diagnosed with muscular dystrophy. After a diagnosis, Mankiller continued working and in 1985 became the first female chief of the Cherokee Nation, a tribe based in Tahlequah, Oklahoma, with over 220,000 members.
Albert Einstein was a well-known theoretical physicist, author, and philosopher who became one of the world's most influential scientists of all time. He did not talk until age 4 and did not learn to read until he was 9. His teachers considered him mentally slow, unsociable, and a dreamer. He failed the entrance examinations to college and had to study for an additional year before passing the exams.
Richard Pryor. Pryor is a successful comedian, actor, writer, and producer who has multiple sclerosis. MS is an autoimmune disease that affects a person's brain and spinal cord, causing him or her to lose muscle control, vision, and balance.
Patrick Dempsey is a well-known actor that was diagnosed with dyslexia at age 12. Dempsey once said, "I think it's made me who I am today. It's given me a perspective of you have to keep working. I have never given up."
Julius Caesar, one of ancient Rome's most famous figures, Caesar was a general and statesman. He was the first commander of the Roman army to invade England. Caesar had epilepsy, which is also known as seizure disorder.
Christopher Burke. Burke is an actor and musician. He is most well known for his role as Corky in a television series, Life Goes On. And as a guest on other TV shows, he also tours with his band and is the National Down Syndrome Society's Goodwill Ambassador. Burke was born with Down syndrome.
Ty Pennington, known for his role as carpenter and television host for Extreme Makeover, Home Edition, Tyrone has also published 2 books and worked as a model. At an early age, Ty was diagnosed with ADHD.
Walt Disney. He struggled in school and had a learning disability. He went on to become a successful movie producer, director, screenwriter, animator, and theme park developer. He founded one of the largest media and entertainment corporations in the world.
Frank Gore, football running back from San Francisco 49ers. Gore was in special education because of a learning disability that affected his math and comprehension. His learning disability made school difficult and almost kept him out of college. Despite being one of the most highly regarded high school football players in 2000, he eventually had a successful college career and went on to the NFL.
Michael Phelps is a well-known American swimmer who holds many titles and records, including the record for the most medals won at a single Olympics. During elementary school, Michael was diagnosed as having ADHD.
Chuck Roberts. Chuck Roberts was the first person with multiple disabilities to graduate from Norman High. Chuck went on, despite opinions of professionals, to earn his bachelor in special education from the University of Oklahoma. He is an active member of his community and is professionally involved in a variety of disability advocacy areas in Oklahoma and nationally.
So we're up to, were we aware and did we know that these are all types of disabilities that can affect people, including how they learn? Students with these types of disabilities may get help learning through special education. These famous people are only a few of the people who did not let their disability stop them.
Would you like to talk about some of these things, some of these people, Claire?
Yeah, like what would you like to say?
So there's a couple of others that come into my mind. I saw the movie A Beautiful Mind, and it's an older movie, and I revisited it the other day. And John Nash had a disability during it was probably around since he graduated from graduate school. I forget exactly what university he went to, but John Nash is a highly regarded. He has a PhD, and he is his area. He wanted to find an area of study that was original. So he ended up getting into challenging Adam Smith's theory on economics, and this particular theory was established for about 150 years, but in his PhD study, John Nash basically had proved that this theory was incomplete, and his theories are recognised even till today. He had a disability. He became delusional and lost sense of reality, and he actually he got married and had a child, but his disability wasn't really uncovered until pretty late in his time in his after he completed his PhD. And and even till today, his theories still hold up in his field.
Can you turn up your volume a bit more? Yeah.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
So, would you like to make any comments?
Well, I was just going to ask what was his theory?
His theory was to challenge the Adam Smith's theory of look. I can't recall exactly what his theory was, but it was to challenge an existing theory that was around. It was around economics. It was
Mm.
around economics, I believe. It's just slightly coming back to me. It was around the economic theory, and he got the inspiration from a conversation he was having, just a normal conversation he was having with his classmates. And so the theory was about how he made the breakthrough. So he was struggling with finding a theory as so an original work. So he was having a conversation with his college mates, and the theory was around women, strangely enough, and and the theory had to do with women. The breakthrough came when it had to be do with women. So 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 he's sort of like unpacking his theory. So if 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 someone actually approached the blonde, who was quite desirable in their eyes, then that would make the others feel less desirable. But if someone actually approached the brunettes first and then the blonde, well, that would actually that's a bit sexist, or that's a bit sexist. But this is how he came to this theory. So then he's like challenged that theory of he basically challenged the theory of win-win. He wanted everyone to win. He didn't want to focus on win-lose. So he wanted to create a system where everyone won. And in economics, that was his theory in the end. How do you produce a theory where everyone wins? And if everyone wins, it's a win-win situation and there are no losers. And that was like the basics of his theory.
I wish we had. I feel like Googling it and bringing it up in the next episode, because
Yeah.
we've given him so much time, and I think let it go. I'm not really impressed with his theory. Not really impressed about, he worked out,
I know it sounds a bit sexist, and like
yeah,
it really does, and
it's awful.
it is awful.
No
It is
more
awful.
time for him.
It is awful, but the thing is, right? Things. I mean, from a disability perspective, like we can have breakthroughs,
Yeah,
even though it's sexist. We can have breakthroughs in our thinking. It really, the way we describe it, it sounds really horrible. It is horrible, but sometimes these things come to my head, and look, sometimes I'm thinking about things, and things come to my head, and I think this is great, and it could be a random thing that happens. I think, oh, I wonder whether this will have an effect on this idea.
I don't think this guy's theory is going to impact on how much better it's going to have on my life. And to be honest, our listeners, watchers, let's stop it. No more.
Yeah,
Let's go to the next bit. Next
how,
bit, please.
how about we do some more research on a beautiful mind, and we may come up with another episode just to break down John Nash's theory.
I don't even know if I should give him any more time. Don't want to waste my precious time about him.
Yeah,
Let's go to some other person, Whoopi Goldberg, hey, or
well, yeah. To be fair, you're the one that actually brought up, how can we talk a bit more about it? To be fair and honest, but I'm not taking full responsibility for this conversation. I'm handballing it. Hey, we have a bit of fun here with our listeners and with ourselves.
yeah.
Have a bit of fun. We didn't want to make the YouTube channel dry, and certainly today it hasn't been dry at all.
Yeah, well, I don't want to give him any more time. Can you think of another thing that we saw before?
Well, I would say that the common thread, with all these type of with people with disabilities, these famous people, is they embrace their life. They focused on their abilities, not their disabilities. And and I reckon with Albert Einstein, I think that when people think differently about disability, as Einstein did, he was probably maybe bullied or targeted or labelled as a slow learner. And I think a lot of people, a lot of famous people that we have projected probably went through that experience. And I think the common thread is they overcome it. They had support, they had good support from their family, but in the end they believed in themselves. And maybe if you don't have that support, it doesn't mean you cannot reach your full potential. Because we don't know these people, and a lot of people don't know, a lot of people that have reached their full potential ones that walk our streets. But that nevertheless, you can reach your full potential.
Yeah, you can reach, there's Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And so basic needs need to get met like air, water, shelter, love, family, and all that. And at the top of the pinnacle of the pyramid is reaching your potential. So if you don't get your basic needs met, then you actually don't get to reach your potential. I mean, people do say different things about that, but I guess if you've got a disability and you have time to think of things differently, then you can share it. And maybe you got to, it's the way you look at yourself as well. Like if you think of yourself as disabled, then then you're gonna make other people think that about you as well, just because there's a little difference in something. Yeah.
So absolutely, and with regard to Maslow's hierarchy, you can think about the word differently. Like unfortunately, there are things that happen to people with disabilities, and then and you are right, Gulair, but there are things that people can do to break those cycles too. There are lots of um, accommodation type of places that are targeted at people with disabilities, who have access issues. We had people from the Summer Foundation talking about housing options. There are places that people can go to if they experience domestic violence. And there's a whole range of supports that people can get to deal with these sort of like basic rights and needs. And maybe shelter, maybe freedom. It's a whole it's a whole different world out there now in the 21st century. So there's support out there is what I want to let people know. And if you have any questions, you can call your you can reach out to a self-advocacy group, uh, diversity disability, or places like SARU, Self-Advocacy Resource Centre, and they can guide you to the relevant places for support.
Yeah. So I'm thinking we change it up a little bit and let's have a look at something else. Just a moment. So another section we thought we'd have a look at today. 5 Ways to Build Lasting Self-Esteem by Guy Winch. And this is an image of Monica Ramos. And so let's have a look. Everyone is in favor of high self-esteem, but cultivating it can be surprisingly tough. Psychologist Guy Winch explains why and describes smart ways we can help build ourselves up. Many of us recognize the value of improving our feelings of self-worth. When our self-esteem is higher, we not only feel better about ourselves, we are more resilient as well. Brain scan studies demonstrate that when our self-esteem is higher, we are likely to experience common emotional wounds such as rejection and failure as less painful and bounce back from them more quickly. When our self-esteem is higher, we are also less vulnerable to anxiety. We release cortisol into our bloodstream when under stress, and it is less likely to linger in our system. So not only, I mean, Julie, can you see that like your self-esteem is linked into your bloodstream?
Yeah, I was actually watching something on Netflix yesterday on the weekend, and our mind and our the way we feel about ourselves, it's totally linked to yeah. And so if we're feeling positive, like I've experienced this myself, if I'm feeling positive, um, I get confused with the different hormone names. Yeah, if I'm feeling positive, it's releasing endorphins into my body, and no matter how we feel, endorphins getting released, whether it's positive endorphins or negative endorphins. And so I found that when I'm positive and happier and around the right people, which is a very important thing when it comes to building your self-esteem, then yes, I do believe that this is a way to heal, a faster healing for your body. Yeah.
And it's within, isn't it? It's like within yourself. Like this is about how you view yourself, how like other people might view you differently, but you don't need to take on other people's stuff into yourself, but in your own self, your own self-worth and how you're feeling about your self-esteem is from you emanating outwards.
Yeah. I think it's important. It's really important. You're right. You don't have to take on other people's opinions. And I'll just talk about something that came up in one of the some of the work I do. Um, some of the work I do, there's a term called disability pride,
Yeah.
and I know you're familiar with this, Claire, and a lot of people in the sector are, and and I have I even though I'm really good friends with the person that really pushes disability pride, and I just felt like I had to describe my feelings about the words disability pride, and it's how I felt about it, because it's like the words we use are really, to me, they're really important, and some people are okay with that term, and others aren't. And
Yes.
it's okay to have these discussions among people who you're comfortable with. And I felt very comfortable after quite a long time in bringing this topic up, and and it's okay to be proud of yourself, and it's okay to say to others, I don't really like that term,
Mm-hmm.
and and if you're around the right people, they will accept that, that your view. So people that don't accept that view and really come down hard on you, the question is, do you really want these people in your life? And are they there's two ways. Are they bringing you down or are they lifting you up? So they're the two things that are very, very important in life. In life with everyone in general. So what I found, if people are lifting me up and basically my self-esteem is affected, then I basically take steps to 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 basically limit the time I have with them. Or
Yeah, yeah.
yes,
Julie, I've just put up on so people can read from Wikipedia, of course. So Disability Pride is an annual event used to promote visibility and mainstream awareness of the positive pride felt by people with disabilities within the community. It marks a break from traditional concepts of disability as shameful conditions, which were often hidden from public spaces and mainstream awarenesses. I think it also mentions that people being proud of their disabled identity, but the movement for disability pride had its roots in pride awareness events of the minority community, such as Black Pride and LGBT Pride. The United States' first Disability Pride Parade was in Boston, Massachusetts in 1990. Disability Pride parades have since spread to many locations across the US. So basically, the goals on the mission statement is to change the way people think about and define disability, to break down and end the internalized shame among people with disability, and to promote the belief in society that disability is a natural and beautiful part of diversity in which people with a disability can take pride in. So I just thought I'd bring that up because I guess it's important how everyone feels and whether that describes them or it doesn't describe them. So yeah, so what I guess I'm saying is that disability and disability pride might be a different thing for you than what it is for me, and then for someone else and for someone else, and we all take it in different ways. I guess that's what you were pointing out.
yes, I'm proud of my achievements and as a person, my achievements in my work, my achievements in life. So yeah, I'm proud. It's okay to be proud of those achievements, and and if anyone, uh, you know, it's okay to be proud of your artwork or your life, and it's okay to define yourself as something else that you're proud of, no matter what it is. Maybe you're proud that you're a good listener. There was a friend in need, and you were there to listen, and you're developing your listening skills and your empathy skills. It doesn't have to be big things, to be big, huge, monumental, life-changing things. But you could be the listener that changes someone's life in a big way. And throughout my life, that's what I found. Yeah, so yeah, so do we want to move on, Colette?
Yeah, I'll just keep us going. Here we go. So basically, the other thing, do you want to read this bit, Julie?
From the top,
Yeah.
but as wonderful as it is to have high self-esteem, it turns out that improving it is no easy task. Despite the endless array of articles, programs, and products promising to enhance our self-esteem, the reality is that many of them do not work, or some even likely to make us feel worse. Part of the problem is that our self-esteem is rather unstable to begin with, as it can fluctuate daily, if not hourly. Further complications, our self-esteem comprises both our global feelings about ourselves as well as how we feel about ourselves in the specific domains of our lives. Example, as a father, a nurse, an athlete, or maybe even as a daughter or a son. The more meaningful a specific domain of self-esteem, the greater the impact it has on our global self-esteem. Having someone wince when they taste the not-so-delicious dinner you prepared will hurt the chef's self-esteem, much more than someone for whom cooking is not a significant aspect of their identity. Lastly, having high self-esteem is indeed a good thing, not only in moderation. Very high self-esteem, like that of a narcissist, is quite often brittle. Such people might feel great about themselves much of the time, but they also tend to be extremely vulnerable to criticism and negative feedback and respond to it in ways that stunts their psychological self-growth. That said, it is certainly possible to improve our self-esteem if we go about it the right way. Here are 5 ways to nourish our self-esteem when it is low. Do we want to have a conversation about that, Vanessa?
Yeah. Yes.
So I think with everything, there's an extreme. It's a continuum, and it's an extreme. So for people who aren't familiar with the word narcissist or narcissistic, would you like to give a definition, Claire, please?
No, I don't. I think you should give it. You said it. So
Okay,
yeah.
so a narcissistic person is usually focused on themselves, and even though they may seem confident, as the article suggests, um, they're very emotionally unstable because all the focus they want all the focus to be on themselves all the time. And it's okay to have high self-esteem, but it can be done in a way that it's not all about you all the time. So a narcissistic person, generally speaking, put others down and 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 put others down so they can feel better. And I think that when we encounter these sorts of personalities, we have to be very, very careful, and maybe limit our time or really try to exclude them from our lives.
Yeah, I just put up the definition, Julie, according to the dictionary.
Thank you.
Yeah, so it's having or showing narcissistic. An adjective is having or showing an excessive interest in or admiration of oneself and one's physical appearance, like someone in vain or something. Yeah.
So, do you want to put the opposite of that in? Do you think that would be humility?
You think so?
Yeah. Do you want to put the definition of humility up?
Yeah. Here we go. Let me just pop that on. Here we go.
Humility.
So the quality of having a modest or low view of one's importance. He needs the humility to accept that their way may be better.
Okay, I don't really agree with that definition. Um, I don't agree with that definition
Yeah.
because it doesn't ring true to me. So,
Yeah.
humility is having confidence. In my definition, humility is having confidence in yourself, but not telling the whole world how great you are. So you still have that high self-esteem, but you don't have a need to put others down.
Of course.
And that's so I don't agree with and sometimes it's good to challenge dictionary definitions. So yes, so that's what I view humility as. Do you agree with that
With that
definition?
definition, I think I like the Macquarie dictionary. That's my go-to dictionary, but it's hiding somewhere. But it's a thick one, and it's I think it describes it in an Australian sort of vernacular. But yeah, humility is sort of like being humble too, not actually praising yourself and things like that.
Yes, I totally agree. Yeah, I totally agree. And I think it's the highest form of respect to yourself
Mm,
and to others and to
yeah.
others. And I find people with this type of quality uh, don't need external validation, and that's really powerful. I mean, you can like shrug off people's opinions, people's negative opinions. I think it's the highest power. It's the highest form of of self respect and self esteem.
I feel like sharing something personal because we're talking about this. It's making me really think. Yeah, I'll share it. So basically, my father, when he was raising me, and after he died, we used to talk a lot about, like, he used to say to me, if someone throws you a knife, catch it and throw them back a rose, and so I grew up with that, and then I kept thinking about it, and to me that's pretty, to be able to do that, like what my dad used to say to me, throw people roses. I think to do that, you need to have a lot of humility to be able to think that, do that, and then I sort of took that nugget of, like a diamond, like a gold piece, and extended it and thought, well, I want to be able to accept roses from others as well. Because sometimes if you're so used to getting negative feedback on yourself, that accepting a rose from someone else might be like a compliment or something, might be difficult. And the other thing that I then extended it to was that I want to throw myself roses rather than knives. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it's just it's again linked in with our self-esteem and our self-worth, and humility, and that you accept good things for yourself and others, and just be patient, and listen and open up the conversation, see where it might lead to or where it might go.
So, what that brings us to, in my view, is trying to find a win-win situation. Whereas in society in general, with lots of parts of life, including economic and relationships, you know, a lot of the time it's about win-lose, and I'd like to see more of win-win, in life, and you know, and um, and what you're describing, um, Claire, and what I've experienced is when you have the attitude of win-win, it's really empowering because you don't have negative emotions. It's impossible to have negative emotions when you have the attitude of win-win. That being said, it's really important that we recognise danger, and sometimes a win-win in some situations it could be in our mind and in our heart, but we have to recognise that in some situations you have to protect yourself. So first, uh, your your personal safety is paramount. So you can have all the good intentions, and in the future an opportunity may present where you can practice the win-win in a safe environment. But I just want people to be aware, especially within the domestic violence spectrum area, that just to be aware. Yeah?
Oh
So
yes, oh
be
yes,
aware.
Julie.
So you have to be aware, and so yes. So I just want to make people aware of that point.
Oh, of course. When you are threatened or you're in a dangerous situation, by all means, don't look for win-win situation. Get out of there as quick as you can. That's like one of my what I campaign about and advocate about is reducing gender-based violence and things like that. And the other thing that we're talking about, like win-win, is also another area of mine where I started working as a mediator at a very young age, and that was my employment. And I got to, mediate people in dispute, or families in dispute, or couples in dispute, or neighbors in dispute, or organizations in dispute. And the whole idea of mediation is win-win. And the whole idea for everyone to win is 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 quite complex. You need to communicate, basically. That's a crux of it. That's a diamond for everyone to remember, is to be able to communicate and listen to each other about how that feels for them. So yeah, I just thought I'd share that.
Yeah, that's great, Uncle Air. Yeah.
Yeah. So we can go on to the 5 if you like. I'll just share the screen. Here we go. Use positive affirmations correctly. Positive affirmations such as "I am going to be a great success" are extremely popular, but they have one critical problem. They tend to make people with low self-worth feel worse about themselves. Why? Because when our self-esteem is low, such declarations are simply too contrary to our existing beliefs. Ironically, positive affirmations do work for one subset of people, those whose self-esteem is already high. For affirmations to work with your self-esteem is lagging. Tweak them to make them more believable. For example, change. I'm going to be a great success too. I'm going to persevere until I succeed.
Can I talk a bit about that?
Yeah, go
So,
for it.
so, so, also, you know, saying affirmations is great. It's a great way to boost your self-esteem, and I agree with the article. But having a plan. So having a plan. So so you have a big goal. But what are the steps you need to reach your big goal? And maybe you may need support to work out that steps. Maybe you need a counselor or a worker to help you, to help you plan out those steps. So, so I just want people to understand big goals. First, the little goals, steps, and then the big goal could be in sight, no matter what the goal is. And the, the little steps may take a long time, like a long time to achieve. Um, you know, for instance, saving to get a property, or uh, building a confidence to not be in a situation of attracting partners that are not good for us. So with one, you may need to develop your skills with recognizing talk that is not so positive. With the other one, could be maybe finding a job to save to to get that property. So in each one, there are steps involved, and you may feel a bit overwhelmed, but you can get support to navigate your way to these steps. And it could take a long time. Some goals could take a long time. So if you work on smaller goals and celebrate the small successes, then that's the way to achieve or to build up your self-esteem and to achieve a bigger goal.
Yeah, achieving goals is quite easy for some people if you've had a lot of practice. So I guess when you're trying to achieve goals, you might have to take baby steps. And sometimes the other thing that is interesting is what happens when you've achieved your goal and you've got no more goals to achieve, for example.
Interesting question.
Yeah.
I don't know about anyone else, but I've been always goal focused, and we're all different. We're all different in things that we want in life. And I think about I think about well, okay, maybe I've reached Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and so what else can I focus on? And for me, it's doing programs like this. It's empowering others to see what is possible. It's being in the community. It's for me, it's a teaching element and empowering others, I suppose, and getting out there in the sector and sharing what works and what hasn't worked. So for me, there's always been a goal. Even when I think I've reached a goal, there's always another goal to think about and to reach.
Yeah, that's good. But like I said, some people are at the top of them and say, yes, I've done it. Now what?
Well, maybe they can relax and enjoy their life. Maybe they want to retire or you know do maybe they want to share their life with young people, and there's lots of things people can do. And I suppose the question is, do you want to achieve? Are you bored? Are you bored? Is one question. And if you are, what else can you do in that space to fill out? To I think when you're bored, I think it's a poor excuse to say I'm bored, because there's so much things you can do out there in the community, and maybe you need support with a counsellor to talk about what else can you do, what else can you do, what else do you want to do in life.
Yeah, well, boredom is what some people feel all the time, and I don't have enough time in the day to do all the things that I want to do or I am doing. So it's so I think you got to take responsibility for some things and make I think you don't need to have a counselor to work out what your goals are or what your boredom and stuff. You can if you want, but a good friend would help too, with boredom. But yeah, because you don't want to medicalize everyday things. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with your comments, Claire. A good friend really could help with your quest to find other things in your life that maybe you do together or alone, or friends sometimes recognise our potential, things that we're good at. And so yeah, so definitely we don't want to medicalise stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
So and I'm quite aware that boredom could lead to depression. So I think that having that conversation with people you trust and people you like, and people that uplift you is probably a good way to make you think, get the clogs of the wheel thinking in your brain thinking,
And doing.
and
Yeah.
and doing,
Yeah.
and then when you're thinking, maybe write down small steps. If people have access to writing, you can always record on your phone or record with a tape recorder. I think they're out of. I think tape recorders are no longer existent now, but you've got phones now with recording devices. So yeah, just think about what you can do.
Yeah. So we've got a couple more, and we're almost going to be at the end of our time, but we've still got a bit more. So this bit, would you like to read that one?
Is that to identify your competencies?
Yes, please.
Self-esteem is built by demonstrating real ability and achievement in areas of our lives that matter to us. If you pride yourself on being a good cook, throw more dinner parties. If you're a good runner, sign up for races and train for them. In short, figure out your core competencies and find opportunities and careers that accentuate them.
Yeah, that's it. Finding what you're good at, huh?
Yeah. So focusing on ability, not disability.
That's it.
That's the
Yay.
challenge.
So the next one is, we could probably talk on each topic for a while. And I'd like, what would be interesting is if our viewers could, or listeners could send us how they build their own self-esteem. Like, we won't necessarily read out your name if you want it anonymous, but give us an email and say how you build your self-esteem, or what do you do when you're bored? Like, what things can you do? And we can share it on our next program. What do you think, Julie?
That sounds like a wonderful idea. So all you guys on in South African land, get onto our YouTube channel. Yeah, that would be wonderful, and we can make it anonymous, so that's fine. But and let's learn from each other.
Yeah, and yeah, let's learn from each other. Exactly. So learn to accept compliments. Oh, that came up. One of
Yeah.
the trickiest aspects of improving self-esteem is that when we feel bad about ourselves, we tend to be more resistant to compliments, even though that is when we most need them. So set yourself the goal to tolerate compliments when you receive them, even if they make you uncomfortable, and they will. The best way to avoid the reflexive reactions of batting away compliments is to prepare simple set responses and train yourself to use them automatically whenever you get good feedback. For example, thank you, or how kind of you to say. In time, the impulse to deny or rebuff compliments will fade, which will also be nice indicators your self-esteem is getting stronger. It's an indication of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. My go-to response is thank you very much. That's very kind. And
Yeah.
because yeah, it's actually I find it a bit bashful when I receive a compliment,
Do
but
you?
I do actually. Yeah, I have. So I always have a prepared response. And I always say thank you. That's my default response.
That's, yeah, so that the other person can keep the communication lines open. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to read out? We've got a few more minutes left. So we'll get through number 4 and number 5, I think.
Unfortunately, this is eliminate self-criticism and introduce self-compassion. Unfortunately, when our self-esteem is low, we are likely to damage it further by being self-critical. Since our goal is to enhance our self-esteem, we need to substitute self-criticism, which is almost always entirely useless, even if it feels compelling, with self-compassion. Specifically, whenever your self-critical inner monologue kicks in, ask yourself, what would you say to a dear friend if they were in your situation? We tend to be much more compassionate to friends than we are to ourselves, and direct those comments to yourself. Doing so will avoid damaging your self-esteem further with critical thoughts and help build it up instead.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got a few more minutes. Affirm your real worth. The following exercise has been demonstrated to help revive your self-esteem after it sustained a blow. Make a list of qualities you have that are meaningful in specific contexts. So, for example, if you got rejected by your date, list qualities that make you a good relationship prospect. For example, being loyal or emotionally available. If you fail to get a work promotion, list qualities that make you a valuable employee. You have a strong work ethic or are responsible. Then choose one of the items on your list and write a brief essay, 1 or 2 paragraphs about why the quality is valuable and likely to be appreciated by other people in the future. Do the exercise every day for a week or whenever you need a self-esteem boost. The bottom line is improving self-esteem requires a bit of work as it involves developing and maintaining healthier emotional habits, but doing so, and especially doing so correctly, will provide a great emotional and psychological return on your investment. So they're the keys. We've got to do a few things there, don't we?
We do, yeah, indeed.
So we could almost call it a day.
Yes, I've really enjoyed this session. So, so I hope everyone in YouTube land can give us feedback and comments. And on that note, we're both going to say goodbye.
Bye. Catch us on Your Life, Your Voice YouTube channel live every Monday fortnight or on demand.
We would like your comments and suggestions on topics that you would like us to explore. Leave your comments on YouTube comments section.
Please feel free to email us on dndyourlifeyourvoice@gmail.com or contact us via the Margaret Resource Centre Northwest Region Inc. Phone number 1300 676 044. 1300 676 044.
Diversity in Disability is a project of the Margaret Resource Centre Northwest Region Incorporated, and would like to thank the management for funding this project, especially living through the COVID-19 pandemic. The pandemic has been difficult for people with disabilities living in isolation.